You know, we all like to think we're in the driver's seat of our own lives, right? That we're the ones making all the choices. But what if I told you that from the moment you wake up, there's this invisible blueprint that's guiding your decisions? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and look at the hidden forces shaping what you buy, why you buy it, and even who you become as a consumer. Just think about it for a second. That coffee you grabbed this morning, the route you took to work, the playlist you streamed. How many of those were truly your conscious decisions? We're going to follow a day in the life of a consumer, kind of like you and me, to see just how many of our choices are nudged, prompted, and subtly engineered for us. And it all kicks off with data, a ton of data. Get a load of this number, 2.5 petabytes. That's the amount of customer data Walmart collects every single hour. To put that in perspective, that's like filling 20 million filing cabinets with text every hour. This data explosion lets companies make scarily precise predictions about what you'll buy and, more importantly, what levers they need to pull to make you buy it. So let's start our day.
So our day begins, and right away, it's basically an all-out assault on our senses. Before we've even had our first coffee, marketers are targeting our eyes, our ears, our nose, all to influence our behavior. And believe me, this is no accident. It's a full-blown science, and it all comes down to one really important distinction. Okay, so what's the difference between sensation and perception? Well, think of sensation as the raw data. It's the immediate ping when your nose picks up a smell or your ears hear a sound. But perception, that's what your brain does with that data. It's how it selects, organizes, and interprets those pings to give them meaning. See, marketers don't just want to create a sensation, they want to control your perception.
And wow, are they good at this? You know that feeling when you walk past a bakery and get a whiff of fresh bread? Or you hear a jingle that just gets stuck in your head all day? That's all sensory marketing. My all-time favorite example, though, in Japan, Burger King actually sold a flame-grilled fragrance so you could smell like a Whopper all day long. Seriously. It's all about creating a positive vibe you don't even consciously notice. Now, this all works because of a psychological trick called stimulus generalization. Okay, it sounds a little textbooky, but stick with me. The idea is actually super simple. Once our brain learns to respond positively to one thing, like, say, a brand name we trust, it'll start to have a similar positive response to other things that just seem similar. And marketers have become masters at using this little mental shortcut. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It is everywhere. When Campbell's puts its trusted name on tons of different soups, that's family branding. When Dole, the fruit company you know, starts making juice bars, that's a product line extension. When you see the Ferrari logo on a pair of Oakley sunglasses, that's licensing. They're hoping that high-speed cool factor rubs off. And you've definitely seen look-alike packaging, where the store brand's box looks almost exactly like the big national brand.
All right, so our senses are officially primed. Now, as our day goes on and we actually think about buying something, a whole different game starts playing out. This time, it's all inside our heads. And it turns out, we don't just have one way of making decisions. Nope, our choices tend to fall into three main buckets. First, there's cognitive. That's your deliberate, rational brain at work, like when you're carefully researching a new phone. Then there's habitual. That's just autopilot, grabbing the same brand of milk every single week without a second thought. And finally, affective. That's all heart, no head. It's driven purely by emotion. Marketers know we switch between these modes, and they've got strategies for each one.
And one of their absolute favorite tools is something called gamification. This is all about taking ideas from video games, points, badges, leaderboards, and plugging them into totally normal activities to keep us hooked. It really taps into our basic human desire to achieve things and to compete.
And hey, don't think this is just for silly mobile games. Even government agencies are getting in on this. For instance, the FDIC, the people who insure our bank deposits, created a board game to make learning about finance feel less like homework and more like, well, a game. It's a perfect example of turning something kind of boring into something really engaging.
But how powerful is this stuff, really? Well, check out this classic experiment. Two groups of people at a car wash get loyalty cards. Group A gets a card that says, buy 8 washes, get 1 free. Simple enough. Group B gets a 10-wash card, but it comes with 2 free stamps already on it. Now, the math is exactly the same, right? Both groups need to buy 8 washes to get a free one. But get this, nearly twice as many people in Group B, the one with the head start, actually finished their card. Psychologists call it endowed progress.
Just by making us feel like we're already on our way, companies can make us way more motivated to cross the finish line. Okay, so we've covered our senses and what's going on in our brains, but here's the thing. We don't make these decisions in a bubble. Some of the most powerful influences come from the people around us and the cultural ideas we've been soaking in our entire lives, especially when it comes to stuff like our gender identity.
I mean, just look at this ad for a watch. The tagline couldn't be more blunt. Engineered for men. This is a classic example of what's called a sex-typed product. For decades, marketing has hammered home these roles, linking certain products or colors with a specific gender. But you know what? Those lines are starting to get really blurry.
In other cultures, these rigid boxes are already changing. Take Japan, for instance. Men there who embrace what we might see as more traditionally feminine interests are sometimes called flower men, and it's not an insult at all. It just reflects this broader cultural shift toward androgyny, which is the idea of having both masculine and feminine traits. Marketers are finally starting to realize that people just don't fit into those neat little boxes anymore.
Okay, so let's go a little deeper. Imagine our character isn't just buying coffee for themselves. Now, they're buying a gift for someone they really care about. This kind of purchase taps into something way bigger than just our wants or needs. It brings up a huge question. What are we really looking for in our lives and in the things we buy? Is it happiness or is it something else?
Well, researchers found this fascinating split between what makes a happy life and what makes a meaningful one. They found that happiness is often tied to being a taker, satisfying your own needs and wants, living in the present. But a meaningful life, that was linked to being a giver. It actually involved more stress and worry, and it was all about expressing yourself and caring for others, kind of like buying a really thoughtful gift. It suggests that our biggest, most important choices are the ones that create meaning, not just a quick hit of pleasure. Okay, but we all know it's not always a great experience, right? What happens when a product is a dud, or a company completely lets us down? Well, in the digital age, we don't just write a quiet letter of complaints anymore. Oh no, we go public and we go big. The internet has given us the gripe site, whole online communities built just to complain about companies. This power shift has definitely forced corporations to sit up and pay attention. But instead of just fixing the problems, some of them came up with a pretty sneaky way to control the conversation. And their tactic is, well, it's brilliantly simple. To stop angry customers from starting a website like, say, yourcompanynamesucks.com, a lot of these huge corporations just go out and buy up those unflattering domain names themselves. Yep, Walmart, Coca-Cola, Target, they all own their own sucks.com domains. It's a quiet but super effective way to shut down the criticism before it even starts.
So, we've seen the blueprint. We've seen how our senses, our brains, our social circles, they all play a part. But what's next? What does the future hold? Well, as technology gets smarter and smarter, the line between marketing and just plain manipulation is getting even blurrier. And it's raising some pretty profound new questions.
And this might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's really not that far off. Smart billboards that can figure out the age and gender of people walking by, they already exist. The next logical step is analyzing emotions. So imagine walking down the street and a billboard with facial recognition tech sees that you're feeling down and instantly flashes an ad for antidepressants. That technology is right around the corner. And that brings us to the big final question. We started this by asking how many choices you've really made today. Well, as data collection gets more intense and these predictive algorithms get more powerful, we have to ask a new question. When a company knows what you're going to do before you even do it, is it still a choice? What does it mean to be a consumer? And really, what does it mean to be an individual in a world where your decisions can be perfectly predicted and shaped for you? It's something to think about.